Hey everybody, it's Gabe with Rocket Shipping, and I'm coming at you with another edition of In the Weeds Wednesday. And today's topic is customer-specific pricing, or CSP. What it is, why we're using it, why shippers should be using it, and also some misnomers or just some trickery that goes on in the industry with CSPs and how they can be misappropriated. First off, customer-specific pricing literally is that simple. It's just specific to customer's freight. Instead of a blanket tariff from a third-party logistics provider, it's a tariff that says bill to XYZ customer in care of the third-party billing company. Reason that people do this, obviously third-party rates are an advantage for people who do not either have the buying power or who need to have many carrier options. But this is one way to bring in a carrier and put it next to the blanket rates and say, hey, we ship a ton of residential freight, or we ship a ton of freight this way. Can we have a specific tariff for that? Can we have an FAK? Can we get a reduction on liftgate or residential specific to us, different from the rest of your customers? That's a customer-specific pricing. At Rocket Shipping, we do that all the time for customers who spend anywhere from $20,000 a month to $500,000 a month. You have to have enough spend, and it has to be an ideal freight profile, obviously, in this industry and in this economy. But it's super useful. That's the what and the why. Now, I would like to say a couple of things about how they're used in the industry. Can you have a customer-specific pricing and use it for a certain buying group and use it for the rest of your customers and misappropriate it? No. Does that happen a lot in the industry? Yes. And so I've run into that where it's a customer-specific buying group for a certain liftgate or residential reduction, and they just basically resell that tariff to the rest of the customer base to earn business that way. That's pretty shady. That's some trickery in the industry. Another common thing that we see with CSPs is that the whole process, the way it works, you normally have to get an LOA, or a letter of authorization, letter of authority. Those kind of go hand in hand. And you have to get one from a shipper. Well, oftentimes shippers or our clients or clients that would potentially work with us will have an LOA, and they'll send it to 3 or 4 third parties, and then it's a bidding war to get into the carrier first. Can you have more than one active LOA? Technically, no. Do shippers use it like that all the time? Yes. And so that creates confusion. Can you have a CSP with a carrier and still use that same carrier for blanket rates? This is another thing that happens in the industry. Technically, you're not supposed to, so that's technically no. Do third parties and shippers alike use a customer-specific tariff and also load in the blanket and use the best one of the option? Yes. And lastly, can you have an LOA and a CSP active with a certain carrier, and can another third party come in, take that pricing from that third party, basically saying, hey, we have an LOA too, that CSP now belongs to us? Or can you cut it over to a new third party? Technically, you can if there's consent, but a lot of times in this industry, there isn't the consent, and there's a lot of trickery and backhanded deals. Pricing will get moved without a third party even being notified. It's rare, but it has happened to Rocket Shipping. I know it's happened to a couple of my colleagues too that are working for other third parties. And so that's one thing you should be watching out for. The whole point of this was to kind of go into the weeds on LOAs and CSPs and how that all works and why. But also just to, if you're looking to get a customer-specific pricing, the best way, if you're a shipper, is to go to one third-party logistics company like Rocket Shipping or even our competitors, but just go to one, give them an LOA, and work in tandem with them to get your CSP. Do not blast it and treat it like an auction and give everybody an LOA, because really you're actually diluting your buying power and everybody's frustrated and nobody's able to get done what they need to. So I'd love to hear you guys' comments on CSPs and LOAs. I certainly don't know all that I need to know about it, so I'd be curious if there's some other trickery that you guys have seen, or if there's just best practices that are out there that we should be doing at Rocket Shipping. Appreciate it. Have a great Wednesday.